Welcome to our story. Today we will see stories of Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for wearing a wedding dress at a wedding? So my friend 20 female and I 19 male have been friends for a few years and she recently got engaged. A week ago I got a DM from her for a small costume party she was hosting as a celebration for her getting engaged. I asked if there was a theme and she said there wasn't. I'm a cosplayer, so I had a lot of choices. I didn't want to rock up in an anime cosplay, so I thought it would be funny to go to an engagement party as the corpse bride. I arrived at her house yesterday and everything seemed normal. A few people complimented my costume and I was having a lot of fun. After 10 minutes my friend's fiancé walked out in a black tuxedo and announced this was actually their wedding. Apparently, my friend saw a video of someone doing this and wanted to do the same. He asked us all to go to the backyard for the ceremony to begin. I went straight to him. I asked him if I should quickly go home and change my outfit and that I would get back before it started. He told me it was fine since I didn't know this was the wedding. I trusted him and followed everyone outside. They got married and everything seemed good. The reception was just in their house again, so everyone just walked back inside and picked up where they left off. I tried talking to my friend and celebrating with her, but she kept making excuses to not talk to me. I assumed it was just because she was tired from the big day and wanted some alone time. I didn't bother her after that and the party soon ended. I got home and half an hour passed when my phone started getting notifications. I checked and it was my friend texting me. She was cussing me out and telling me how I ruined her wedding. I was really confused and asked what I did. That only made her more angry. She told me it was basic knowledge not to wear a wedding dress to a wedding. I reminded her I had no idea it was a wedding and that I asked her now husband if I should change and he said it was fine. She didn't respond, but I got a text from her husband. He asked why I would tell her, he said it was fine. I told him, he said it was fine. Then he said how I should have changed anyways and it's my fault that the two are now fighting over this. I've tried texting her that I was sorry and if I had known I wouldn't have done it. I woke up today and saw her and her husband have blocked me on everything. So, am I the a-hole for not changing out of the wedding dress when I found out it was actually a wedding? Next story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my sister her wedding dress because she didn't invite my underage son? I, 40 male, have a sister, 30 female, who is getting married in a week. The groom proposed to her a year ago at a family dinner that left everyone speechless, but very happy for them as they are longtime companions. During this dinner, my sister asked my son, 17 male, to make her wedding dress. My son has always loved design and fashion. He took technical courses in these areas and sewing, and even his friends keep asking for his clothes because they are so beautiful. He agreed, but said that he needed time and that he would need her opinion constantly. At first my sister was very annoying. My son drew about 50 dress designs in a month and she only liked one, which he continued with. He sewed it with great quality fabric, which I paid for as I wanted to get involved in a certain way. For 5 months he made several adjustments to suit her wishes, as she always complained about something. After a while, he arrived at the final model and it was just amazing. My mother cried seeing my sister in the dress and I confessed that I almost got emotional too. The problem was that last week my son came to talk to me about the wedding invitation that had not arrived for him, but for other family members. I thought maybe he didn't need one, but it still felt weird. I messaged my sister raising this issue and she replied that she didn't want any underage people at her wedding because there would be alcohol. I asked if she was going to make an exception for my son, but she cut me off and said no. There are no children in our family, my son is the only minor, so I didn't see any sense in this rule for family members. And to make matters worse, my son was very sad and cried because he spent months on this dress and couldn't go to the wedding. I was very upset and told my sister that she should look for another dress as soon as possible, as she would no longer wear the one my son made. She called and yelled at me, saying I was being unreasonable and that I couldn't do this. My mother called me saying I should deliver the dress and follow the rules, but I didn't and hung up on her. Because of this, the family is divided. Many agree with me and condemn my sister's actions, saying she could only make an exception, but another part says I'm unreasonable and I'm spoiling her big day. I don't think I'm being wrong, but just rational and paying her back in kind. So am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to split expenses proportional to income? I live with my boyfriend in a flat he owns, fully paid off. His father gave it to him. The whole building was built 6 years ago and it's in a very popular area. I pay my boyfriend half of the market rate rent, which we update every year by looking how much the flats are being rented out for in the building complex. Which is a lot of money, but I agreed to it. Other than this, we did everything else 50-50 in the past. I got a new job with a significant pay increase, and now my boyfriend says we should start splitting expenses proportional to income, because that's fair. I told him I don't think it's fair that I should start paying for more, just because I got a new job and nothing else changed. I already pay him enough rent that would get me a same-sized flat a few streets away, so it's more than fair to him. He made some, in my opinion, very weak arguments and accused me of ripping him off. That's when I told him that under no circumstances we will split expenses proportional to income. Now that I've calmed down a bit, I'm worried whether I'm in the wrong. Especially since my best friend told me that this is how they do it with her boyfriend too, and my boyfriend owning the flat is irrelevant here. Am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my neighbor and her 2 young children when their wipers were frozen? I, 59 male, live in a major city in Ontario, Canada. I live in a small subdivision and have 5 neighbors total on my street. For the past few years during the winter, when we're getting a lot of snow or bad storms, as I'm leaving for my overnight shift at around 8 to 9 p.m., I'll put my wife's windshield wipers up on her car and do a quick walk around to my other 5 neighbors and put their windshield wipers up on their cars, obviously not if they're outside or something, but if it looks like they're in for the night. Many of them forget to do this, as many of them have children, and it typically slips their mind, and their wipers will be frozen to their car in the morning. It's just something nice I like to do to look out for my neighbors. They're all always grateful of this and thank me for it. Many of them started doing it too, and there will be nights where I'll forget to put mine and my wife's up, and in the morning one of the neighbors has done it for us. Anyway, recently one of our neighbors moved and a new family moved in as of last week. It's a young couple and their 2 young children. The other night I was leaving for my overnight shift at around 9 p.m. It was snowing really heavy and we were supposed to be getting almost 30 centimeters of snow, and it was freezing out. So I put my wife's wipers up and do my usual quick walk around to the other neighbors. I was hesitant when I reached my new neighbor's house, as I've only introduced myself once, but did it anyway. As I was putting the second wiper up on their pickup truck, the husband came charging out of his front door yelling, "Hey, what the F are you doing to my truck?" I tried to explain to him I was just putting his wipers up to help him. He continued to scream at me to get the hell off my property and don't touch my crap again. The wife then came out and started yelling at me too. I apologized and started walking away. Some of my other neighbors heard the commotion and came outside to see what was happening. They tried explaining to him too that it's just something we do. Both of them wasn't having it. Fast forward to this morning. I'm arriving home from my overnight shift, and as I'm walking in I see the wife of this couple struggling outside to break the ice off the windshield wipers of the truck. Guess she was trying to take her kids to school and the wipers were frozen solid on the car. She sees me and yells over, "Hey there. Do you mind giving me a hand, please?" I look over to her and yell back, "No, sorry. Thought I was to never touch your crap again, ma'am," and walked back inside. She yelled back at me, "Wow, a hole." Told my wife about this. She thinks I should have helped her because she was just trying to get her kids to school. I disagree, as I was just following what they told me. Am I the a-hole? Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter she was being a brat after she cried about blowing out her birthday candles? I have 4 kids, 23, 20, 16 and 13. This concerns my oldest. I'll refer to her as Zara. We don't normally do big parties in our family after double digits, 18th or 21st, but Zara has been going through a bit of a difficult time, so we decided to throw her a surprise party. This was yesterday. It was a big family party and Zara was enjoying it. Then the cake was brought out. I have a lot of young nieces and nephews, so naturally they wanted to stand up with Zara, and she had no issue. When she went to blow out the candles, my 5-year-old niece blew most of them out before her. Everyone laughed it off. My youngest actually put 23 candles on the cake and there were still a few lit, so I told Zara to blow those out. She did, but she looked angry and started crying. She then walked off. After that it got quite awkward and my sister, niece's mom, got upset and embarrassed that her daughter is a kid and didn't mean to do it, and she didn't think Zara would act like this. We all calmed her down that it's not their fault. I talked to Zara and told her she was being a selfish brat and making a scene. She's 23 getting mad about birthday candles. She was still upset, and my other kids are telling me I wasn't being fair with Zara. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my family's cookbook with my half-sister? My mom's grandma started a cookbook before she had kids. My grandma inherited it off her when grandma started having kids, and then my mom got it before she had me. My mom gave it to me when she was sick. I was 7 at the time, and died soon after. She told me to be careful with it and that it was special to our family. A couple of years after she died I learned my dad had cheated on her with his wife and that my half-sister was the product of the affair and born before my parents' divorce was finalized. I was too young to realize when it was all going on. After learning this I had a hard time being around my dad. I remember my mom being sad and it made sense why. I also learned that he had told my mom in a really cruel way. How I found out is I eavesdropped on a fight between dad and my uncle and aunt, my mom's siblings, and heard it all, including how much my dad hated how boring my mom was. I remained distant from him, his wife and my half-siblings ever since. I have 2 more half-sisters and a half-brother. My dad decided to tell the oldest of my half-siblings about the cookbook. He mentioned how much I valued it and all kinds of stuff. She wanted to share it with me, to cook from it, and to get to write in it like I will someday. She pestered me about it, and every time I told her no. Then her parents would tell her more about it. In the end she was upset and sobbing over being told no. I had told her it was something special from my mom's side and I wanted to keep it private until I have children. That wasn't good enough because she insisted we're family and she's my sister. My dad and his wife were angry with me. My dad's parents also told me I should have shared it with her and that I'm being cruel to her when my mom isn't alive to care if the child born from the affair gets part of the book or not, but she could be closer to me because I share it with her. I don't really care about my dad or his wife's opinion. I have no respect for them. They're pieces of crap in my eyes. But my grandparents and I always got along okay enough. Am I the a-hole? I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel Our Story.